We're back for our MLB Postseason Best Bets here for game number 5 of the National League Divisional Series between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago Cubs. Honestly, I'm a little surprised we got to this spot, but here we are after convincingly winning the first 2 games of the series from American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Brewers went to Chicago to lose back-to-back at Wrigley Field to put the series where we are at tonight. Game 5, winner go home, and as of 1:30 in the morning, we still do not have a starting pitching matchup. Now, I can kind of guess what I think it is going to be, and we're going to talk about that over the course of the video, but here we are, Game 5, win or go home, Cubs versus Brewers, the winner take on the Los Angeles Dodgers on Monday night. Folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily MLB best bets here on the channel. We'll talk about Game 5 yesterday and the marathon game in Seattle, Washington between the Mariners and the Tigers at the end of the video, but again, first, our 3 best bets for this Game 5 between the Cubs and the Brewers. Also on the channel, folks, we have our college football best bets and predictions, our NFL best bets and predictions, and our UFC Fight Night Oliveira versus Gamrot full card predictions plus best bets. So make sure to go check out all of those videos here across the 2 channels, as let's do it. First of 3 best bets here for Game 5 of the National League Divisional Series. We'll start things off with the under. 7.5 runs, we need to go under. I understand the under has not yet hit in Milwaukee. So we can go over the 4 games right now. Game 1, 9-3 victory for the Milwaukee Brewers. Hell, Milwaukee alone, or I guess the first inning alone, goes over this 7.5 run mark. I don't expect that again. Game 2 is a 7-3 victory. Cubs score 3 early. Brewers match those 3 runs. It's an eventual 7-3 victory again for the Brew Crew. And then you go to games 3 and 4, a 4-3 victory for the Cubs in Game 3, and then a 6-0 victory in Game 4. Now, I'm not going to completely, compare this Game 5 to the other 2 Game 5s we just saw in both elimination games, I should say, that we saw in Game 4 in Los Angeles and then Game 5 yesterday. However, and hell, I guess you can compare it to the elimination game that was played in the Bronx between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. But all 3 of these elimination games have one thing in common. They all went under 7.5 runs. Blue Jays, Yankees, 5-2 for the Blue Jays. That's 7, obviously. Phil's Dodgers, that's another marathon game, not as much as yesterday, but a 3-run total, I guess, as the final score was 2-1 for Los Angeles. And then yesterday, right, Seattle wins in the 15th inning, 3-2. Now, again, are we going to see the level of starting pitching today in Chicago or in Milwaukee that we saw yesterday? No, but in an elimination game, a win-or-go-home game, I don't expect that many runs, right? I think the Brewers, again, have a higher potential to score, and I get it. We're not seeing elite starting pitching. Hell, again, the most elite starting pitching matchup that we could possibly see in this series, well, we just saw on Thursday night, and that was Matt Boyd and that was Freddie Peralta. And, unlike what I thought was going to happen, the Chicago Cubs found a way to win the game 6-0, and Boyd pitched fairly well, and Peralta, let's just say it, didn't pitch well. I don't know. Okay, the starting pitching matchup, I believe it's going to be Shota versus Mizorowski. I think it's got to be, right? Because everyone else in the Brewers rotation, I mean, Quinn can't pitch. Quintana not going to be back. Woodruff's still out. I mean, it has to be Miz, right? Or is it going to be a bullpen game? I could see that happening. I could see a straight pen game and kind of similar. Again, what I'm kind of matching this game up to in Game 5 is going to be Game 2, where the Brewers did win 7-3. But Shota starts for the Cubs, and then Chicago goes obviously to their bullpen for most of the game. Colin Rie comes out and pitches or gets 10 outs at the end of the baseball game. And it was an Aaron Ashby start for Milwaukee. He gets dog walked early in the start, and then Mizorowski comes in, obviously gets that big out at first base. He does his jump and his yeah after he gets the out at first. But Mizorowski came in and pitched 3 innings, and you saw an assortment of Brewers come into the game out of the bullpen. I think the Brewers might just start Mizorowski here. Maybe they'll go opener, but I mean, you have to assume Mizorowski is going to be the main pitcher pitching for the Brewers. And if you're Chicago, I mean, it has to be Shota, right? I mean, who else are you going to go to? I mean, both these rotations are missing, elite guys. I mean, Woodruff's a guy who would definitely get to pitch in this postseason if he was healthy. Obviously, Cade Horton, who might be back if the Cubs can win this game 5, but obviously Horton's not available, so he might be an NLCS pitcher, but you have no Cade Horton for them. So you're missing 2 rotational guys for both Milwaukee and Chicago in this series. So there's not really many alternatives than a Shota versus Jacob Misiorowski pitching matchup. I really don't know what else it could be. Again, I could see a straight pen game out of the Brewers, but even if you go straight pen, you don't have enough relievers. I don't think... I guess you could get 9 without going to Misiorowski, but there's no reason to not go to Miz in this game. So I believe Miz is going to pitch, and I get it. The first-time All-Star somehow, some way. Jacob Misiorowski was shaky at the tail end of 2025 after he did make his appearance, obviously, in the All-Star game. But Miz's last outing makes me think, we're fine. 3 innings, 1 hit, 0 runs. Again, I would assume that Misiorowski is going to have to pitch a little bit more here in game number 5. And obviously, it's a game 5, on all hands on deck. And we saw yesterday in that, no one expected that game to go 15 innings, but we saw it with the Tigers and the Mariners. Okay, we have Jack Flaherty's pitching, Luis Castillo's pitching, Logan Gilbert's pitching, to the point where I don't even know who the hell is going to start for Seattle in game number 5. I mean, is there a chance? I don't know. I'm throwing something out. I mean, is Logan Evans going to have to come? Are they going to have to put him on the roster just so they can have a starting pitcher for game number 1? I don't know what they're going to do. They might go straight bullpen game. I don't know, right? But the Brewers don't have that much flexibility. Quintana might be able to pitch. He pitched on Wednesday and pitched 3 innings. Maybe, but are you really relying on Jose Quintana to pitch much today? I don't think so. I think, again, regardless, I don't mind the straight pen game. I really don't. I think, again, the Brewers, I think, are going to be better. I don't think Chicago is going to hit very well on the road here. I just don't think so. Don't be surprised again. I think Cubs are going to go Shota. And I think for the under, our biggest fear is honestly Shota Iminaga. I think by far it is. Guys, Shota has not been that great. The Cubs have not been allowing him to go too many innings, but he did get the start in game 2, and Shota goes 2 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs. Against the Padres in the wild card round, it was the one game that the Cubs lost. I know Shota came in relief in that game, but he goes 4 innings, 3 hits, and 2 runs, and obviously his month of September was god-awful. We've talked about it on multiple occasions, how Shota was just not good in the month of September at a 6.51 ERA. So I don't know. They have to go to Shota, though. When you look at what the Cubs have, there's really nobody else. Again, Colin Rie, but do you start him over Shota? Maybe you do. I just think, again, elimination game, teams are pressing a little bit. I think the Cubs are going to be much worse on the road. They're due for some regression after the way they've hit in the last 2 games. I think the under should hit here. And again, every series is different, every matchup and every game is different. But if you want to compare this game to the games that we saw in elimination games in the Bronx, in Los Angeles, and in the Pacific Northwest and Seattle yesterday, the under 7.5 run has been consistent in hitting in every one of those games. So I'm going to go with that here. I think the under 7.5 hits from American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Give me the under today between the Brewers and the Cubs as we go on now to our best player prop of the video. Let's try this again. Jackson Chourio, over 1.5 total bags today. Chourio's been really good in the playoffs. He went 1 for 4 in the last game, but still, this is a hitter that's batting .467 in the postseason so far. He is 7 for 15 at the plate with 2 doubles and a home run. Okay. I love the Shota matchup. I absolutely love it at a Jackson Chourio here. I think we're going to get it. Again, I'm not to beat a dead horse here. There's not many more options they could go to. Again, Colin Rie is a guy they could do. But I expect actually both him and Shota to pitch. We can expect a Gasolina appearance early like the Cubs have been going to multiple times. They even usually go on Palencia right after the starter comes out of the game. Which, I guess is fine, but you're going to get, at some point in this game, a good matchup for Jackson Chourio, I believe, and I believe that's going to come in the first inning. Again, neither of these 2 teams have announced their starters yet, but when we really dive deep into it, there's not many options either team can go to. Again, it's just more of a question of, is there going to be an opener on either side or not? Regardless of an opener or a starting pitcher, doesn't matter. I believe Jackson Chourio is going to have a big-time hit in this game. I think he's going to. Everything we have seen so far in this postseason is detailed to us that, yes, Chourio will arrive, he's already arrived. He will make his presence be known. Right, game 1, 3 for 3 with 3 RBI. Need I say more? Game 2, 2 for 4 with 3 RBI and a home run. Games 3 and 4, 1 for 4 in both of those. But this is going back to my point earlier of, I think the Brewers just play better at home. Well, that's not an I think. We know that statement to be true, obviously, what we've seen so far this year. Guys, the Brewers are a 54-29 team at home this season. Hold on to that piece of information because obviously at the end of the video, we're going to be picking a money line bet, or I guess with our third best bet. But that again is not, I mean, that part of that is, yeah, your pitching's better at home, but also, yeah, your bats really come alive when you come to Milwaukee. And again, we will give our money line pick in a second here, but this team can hit. Obviously, we know that. There's not one big superstar. Again, the biggest superstars in the team are either Chourio or Christian Yelich, but ultimately, this is kind of what this postseason has been about. It's been establishing a superstar in Milwaukee. I guess Chourio is that guy. Yelich is batting leadoff, kind of. Sometimes he's batting leadoff, sometimes he's not. Sometimes it's Chourio. I don't know who's going to be batting leadoff in this game. Regardless, we know both Chourio and Yelich will be getting at-bats in the first inning alongside Contreras, too. But Chourio's been either batting in the 1 or the 2. I think they went Yelich in the 1 spot, or in the leadoff spot in Game 4, just to try to get somebody on base for Chourio in that game. But obviously, right, Yelich goes 0 for 2, but does get draw 2 walks. Unfortunately, though, Chourio just goes 1 for 4. And obviously, right, the Brewers don't score in game number 4. And Matt Boyd pitches a tremendous game. And obviously, here comes Palencia right off the bullpen. Here comes the very good arms that they have, Pomeranz, Keller, and they've got some good guys, don't get me wrong. But I think Chourio's gonna show up in this game. I think he's going to, especially with the matchup, man. I love the Shota matchup, and it does again make you question, like, how long will Shota be in this game? Because in game 2, I mean, he gets 8 outs, he goes 2 2/3, and again, not to be the dead horse about Shota Imanaga, because we've talked about it so many times, but my goodness, has Shota been very mid? He has. He's been very mid. He's been extremely hittable. And he even, again, I don't expect Shota to go 6 innings. But, like, even in the regular season, they were not allowing him to go that deep into games. He would, cap out at 80, 90 pitches, and he would be only going 5 or 6 innings. And we saw what happened to Shota in game number 2. Now, again, I don't know if the over is going to hit or not. Or, sorry, I hope the under is going to hit. But if any team's going to do damage, it's going to be the Brewers. I mean, again, look what Chourio does later in that game. I know, again, Shota's not in the game when Chourio goes yard, but even better, that's against Palencia. So, again, it should show, I still like the matchup a lot for Chourio against Imanaga. Do not get me wrong. I mean, it's a righty-lefty matchup, and Shota hangs curveballs sometimes. And, again, I'm just not sold right now with what Shota's been throwing out there. Okay, well, he took Daniel Palencia yard. He had a hit. I believe it was the second hit was off of Rie. I mean, whoever Chicago throws at him, I'm willing to bet that, yes, Jackson Chourio will find a way on base. And look at what Chourio did in both the games that were played in Milwaukee in the series. Game 1, I mean, 6 total bags. Game 2, game 1, 6 total bags, 4 total bags. Game 2, 6 total bags. So, I mean, you're hard-pressed to not pick Chourio. I think it was actually 5 bags instead of 6. Regardless, you're hard-pressed to pick against this guy. 1 for 4 in the last 2 outings, sure. They're back in Milwaukee. The Brewers just hit much better at Miller Park or American Family Field. Chourio's got a 1.267 OPS in the series. Yeah, I'm going to go with Jackson Chourio. And, oh, by the way, he's not walking either. He's swinging. He is swinging. He has walked 0 times in 4 games so far in this NLDS series. I would expect him to come up to the plate and trying to get something done, obviously, to propel his team to the National League Championship Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. So give me Jackson Chourio to go over 1.5 total bags here at home in game number 5. Okay, on to our winner, on to our money line pick. I will be going with the Milwaukee Brewers. That's not, you could probably tell where we're going. Now, again, Tarek Skubal goes 0 for 2 against, 0 for 4 this year against the Seattle Mariners. Now, was that Skubal's fault? Definitely not. He pitched a great game, and he left the game with the lead. And as soon as I saw Kyle Finnegan warming up, I love Kyle Finnegan, but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't Finnegan's fault either. I mean, the team had 8 innings to score, and they couldn't do it, but it is what it is. Hopefully this game doesn't go 15 innings, because what I will say here, if this game goes 15 innings, I believe the Cubs are going to win. This is my main concern in this game. It's the Cubs bullpen. The Cubs bullpen has been nails recently, and I get it. Series are different, or games are different when they're played in different locations. That's the main reason I'm going Milwaukee Brewers here, by the way, because you've seen how different the 2 games, or I guess these 4 games have been when they're in Chicago and when they're in Milwaukee, right? Chicago scores early in game number 3, and it's just the Brewers trying to crawl back into the game for the rest of it. But obviously Chicago hangs on. Brad Keller pitches his ass off. And then on Thursday, right, a 6-0 victory that, was never really in doubt. After Ian Happ hits the 3-run shot, the Cubs keep on tacking on, adding on. Chicago wins the game 6-0. Okay. the games are just different vibes though when they're Milwaukee. They are. Again, my biggest fear is the Chicago bullpen, and legitimately everyone who pitched in Game 4, Palencia, Pomeranz, Keller. And not as much Pomeranz, who I know has been really good this postseason. I'm scared of Keller and Palencia. I am. Even though, yes, have the Brewers done very well against Palencia so far? They have, but still, I mean, that, again, on paper is supposed to be the Cubs' best guy at the bullpen. Again, Gasolina at the bullpen. I think we're going to be okay, though. The games have just been different, though, when they're Milwaukee and when they're in Chicago. I mean, look at the 2 games played so far at American Family Field. 9-3 victory, 7-3 victory. In both those games, the Brewers have come alive early in those games. Now, Chicago did score first in both of those. Do not get me wrong. Game 1, it's the Michael Busch solo home run. And in Game 2, it's the Seiya Suzuki 3-run home run. But what did the Brewers do in both those games? They find a way back, and they obviously come back and win, right? The Cubs have scored first in every single game of the series except for game number 3, in which the Brewers scored 1 run. Sal Frelick knocked in Christian Yelich on a sacrifice fly, and obviously then Chicago came back to score 4 in the bottom half of the first inning, and eventually win the game 4-1. 4-3, excuse me. I don't think the Cubs score first in this game, though. I just don't think so. I don't know what the Brewers are going to do. If I had to guess, I think they're going to go opener for Mizorowski. I mean, it just makes sense that that's what they do. If they're going to go opener, it's probably going to be Aaron Ashby. I think they're going to follow the same script as game number 2. Because why wouldn't you? But the thing is, no, I don't know. Because Aaron Ashby didn't pitch that great. And Ashby actually hasn't been that good so far in this series. So I don't know who opens. Is it going to be... Maybe they just go Mizorowski right away. Honestly, that's probably what I would do. Or do you go Nick Mears? But the thing with using Mears so early is you don't get him in high leverage spots later in the game. I don't think you can afford to use a guy like him early in the game. Obviously, you're not going to pitch Miguel or Uribe in the first inning. So, no, I think you have to go Mizorowski here. I think you have to. Yes, you can throw Aaron Ashby if you want the lefty matchups. I think you just jump right in there with Jacob Mizorowski. I think there's actually a better chance the Cubs go opener with a guy like Kittredge, who we've seen open for them multiple times this season. I think that's more likely, but I think they're just going to they're going to start Jacob Mizorowski. Will there be a short leash on Miz? Yes, but they're still going to need Miz to go 3 or 4 innings. I think so. Because, okay, if you get Miz to go 3-4, then, again, you have 3 really good relievers. You got McGill, you got Uribe, you got Mears. You've got guys. Koenig's been good too out the bullpen. I mean, you got 4 really nails relievers. Oh man, but I just don't know if they're gonna be able to get the length out of Mizorowski here. Like, for as much as I say about Shota, he hasn't gone deep into starts. There is a chance Shota could go 4-5. And that's why I said earlier, like, if it's a 15-inning game, which I don't expect it to be, Shota could potentially give you 5 innings if he's absolute nails and it's a low-scoring game. While Mizorowski, he could be nails for 3 innings, and then, okay, he's going to get the hook because we just don't want to run out of luck here, essentially. And we don't want Mizorowski to have to keep pitching this first-ever postseason start. Ultimately, though, what this pick comes down to is a couple things. It's the Brewers lineup. It's not even the pitching. Honestly, it's not the pitching at all. The pitching, to me, we're going to throw that up in the air. It's a toss-up. What wins this game to me, or what determines the winner for this game for me, and this is why I'm going Milwaukee, is their bats, and it's the fact they're at home. They've just played so well at home, man. I mean, not to say they looked bad on the road, because I think they've only looked bad so far once in the series, and that was on Thursday night in game number 4. But, I mean, you can tell it is just a different vibe in Milwaukee, just how this team plays. And again, Chicago and Milwaukee, I mean, it's a 3-hour drive. It is not that far, obviously, in between venues and in between locations in the series, but it is just different, man. That crowd, they are dying to get back to the National League Championship Series for the first time since, 17, 18? Was it 18 or 17? It's been a while since they've been back, and I guess the Cubs too. But, I mean, obviously, Chicago, that's a city that's won a World Series recently. The Brewers, not much winning has gone on here, obviously. I mean, and remember the last time this team was in the NLCS? It was the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that's a series, again, that will be exciting, I think, in terms of if you want the best chance who's going to have the best chance to beat the Dodgers. Undoubtedly, to me, it is the Milwaukee Brewers. I'd much rather, as someone who's hate watching the Dodgers all year long, I'd much rather the Milwaukee Brewers take on the Dodgers than the Cubs, because I'll be honest with you, if it's Chicago, we're looking at Dodgers in 5. If it's Brewers-Dodgers, I believe the Brewers find a way to win in 7 games. We'll see. Maybe I should stop betting against the Dodgers, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And Seattle-Toronto, I don't know. But I will be going with the Milwaukee Brewers in this game. I will. Minus 140. I believe they get it done. I love what the lineup does, especially at home, right? Chicago's lineup. And here's the thing. Again, it is just, the series has been night and day, man, in Milwaukee and in Chicago. Because even in the game that the Brewers are close in game number 3, they lose it by 1 run. I mean, my goodness, it is tough for them to score in that game. It is. They score 1 run in the first, and, you know, Jake Bauers is your only source of offense. Bauers brings in Sal Frelick in the 4th inning. Bauers hits a solo home run in the 7th inning, and they had the bases loaded in the 8th against Brad Keller, and obviously Keller found his way out of the jam. It was one of the most electric moments so far of this postseason, and good on Chicago and good on Keller for doing that. But, I mean, the Brewers have just been so much better at home. Again, 3 total runs in 18 innings at Wrigley Field, and over in Milwaukee, they've hit for 16 innings, and they've scored 16 runs. They are averaging a run in innings so far in Milwaukee. So why wouldn't I pick them here? The only concern I have is 100% with the pitching. I hope Mizorowski's going to be good, because that's the guy we almost have to expect to see here in game number 5. We'll see if it's an Ashby Open, but really when I break this down, unless you want to go Ashby again, but Aaron Ashby has given up hits, he's obviously given up hits. He's given up runs in back-to-back outings, both in Chicago and game 2 in Milwaukee. I just don't think you can go back to him. I believe you have to look for Jacob Mizorowski in this spot, and ultimately this comes down to, I think the Brewers are able to hit Shota before the Cubs are able to hit Miz, and on top of that too, I think the Brewers just find more runs against Shota than the Cubs do off of Miz. I think final score prediction, I'm going like 4-2 for Milwaukee. I think so. I mean, I think once we see the starters leave the game, then we see, of course, the chess match being played between managers, and okay, now we got to play matchups and whatnot, and that's fine. But I think the most scoring in this game, honestly, will come early. I think it's how many runs can you get off the starter, and then, all right, who can scrape 1 or 2 against the Pens? I think by the time Miz and Shota leave the game, it's a 3-1 lead, I'll say 3-2 lead for the Milwaukee Brewers. I think they're going to tack one on against whoever in the bullpen from Chicago, and that'll be enough for the Milwaukee Brewers to advance to the NLCS to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that they have played very well this season, but the Phillies played the Dodgers very well in the regular season as well, and look what happened to them. So we're going Brewers here in game number 5 to advance to the Final Four essentially this year. Obviously, we believe it's going to be Brewers and Dodgers in the National League, and obviously in the AL, the Seattle Mariners advance to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. We will give you that video tomorrow. But before we conclude, again, we do need to talk a little bit about that series. I mean, even just about game 5. There's not much else Tarek Skubal can do. I mean, Josh Naylor, I don't even know how Josh Naylor's hit that went into the corner. I don't even know how he hit that ball that hard, but Naylor obviously gets on with the leadoff double, and they don't hold him at second base. And Naylor, who, Fox is very quickly put on the screen, the second slowest sprinter in all of Major League Baseball, found a way to steal third base. So, again, and then obviously you had the sac fly after that. I got really concerned, though, honestly, when Finnegan came into that game. Because, and there's nothing against Kyle. I love Kyle. I hope the Nationals bring Kyle Finnegan back this year. I hope he is, or next year. I hope he's the closer again, which I don't think they're going to do. I think we're all set on Jose A. Ferrer, which is cool. But this is nothing against Kyle Finnegan. When you go from seeing Tarek Skubal, who may be the best pitcher in baseball, I mean, I'm the biggest Paul Skeens guy that you're going to find, but maybe it is Skubal. I don't know. Skeens just needs to be given that opportunity in the postseason sometime. I don't know, Pirates. Anyways, he'll get traded eventually, and he'll be in the spot. But regardless, though, right? I mean, you go from 6 innings of Tarek Skubal. He has 13 strikeouts. He gets 13 strikeouts, the most that any pitcher's ever gotten in an elimination game in Major League Baseball history. He gives up 2 hits. And you go from Tarek Skubal to Kyle Finnegan, a guy who is notorious for putting guys on base. Finnegan, again, has been good. He was an all-star last year, but the joke that we always had as Washington Nationals fans was, all right, here comes Finnegan. He'll find a way to get a save, but he's going to put 3 guys on. He's going to put 2 guys on. Finnegan has to put a guy on base before he can get going, and that's always been the thing with Kyle, and unfortunately for Finnegan, gave up 2 very loud outs, and again, got the outs, but obviously gave up or walked a guy, gave up the single to Josh Naylor. And a question that the broadcast asked, and I was asking too, why isn't Holton pitching against Naylor? I mean, don't you want the lefty-lefty matchup? Again, Naylor had a hit against Holton earlier on in the series, but what happened when Kyle pitched in game number 2? ultimately lost them that game. And now, again, this game's not on Kyle Finnegan. It's ultimately up to the Detroit Tigers lineup. I mean, the Mariners were, they were finding every way to not win after grounding into double plays and leaving guys on base. But the same can be said about the Tigers, man. I mean, how much do you want Kerry Carpenter to do? Legitimately, Carpenter goes 4 for 5 to the point where he's getting walked in extra innings because, I mean, I know, Pies was on first. They were intentionally walking Carpenter. I don't know. He did strike out in the 15th inning, but you can't win the game. And for as much as, we talk about the Phillies, you can't win when Schwarber, Harper, and Turner can't get hits. Well, look what happens at the best part of the Tigers lineup yesterday. I mean, we had Spencer Torkelson to get a hit, and he shows up and he goes 0 for 6. Like, what are we supposed to do there? Gleyber Torres goes 0 for 6, Riley Green goes 0 for 6, and Spencer Torkelson goes 0 for 6. I mean, your 2, 3, 4 hitters who are hitting behind a guy who went 4 for 5, simply put, cannot go a combined 0 for 18. And ultimately, that's what ended the Tigers' season, and we always knew that problem with Detroit. We saw it in the Guardians series, and how low-scoring that series was in the wild card round. So, I mean, for the betterment of the sport, yes, it's good that the Mariners won the series, because Seattle versus Toronto is going to be a very good one. I think Toronto probably wins game 1, but we're going to dive deeper in that tomorrow once we find out who the Mariners starting pitcher is going to be in game number 1 up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. But for the betterment of the sport, that is the better series, because we knew it was going to happen if Detroit went on to play Toronto. I mean, we're looking at probably Toronto in 5 or maybe 6. This Mariners-Blue Jays series should go at least 6 games. I could definitely see the potential for a game number 7, and we're going to get a really good team coming out of the American League. It's hard to pick against Toronto because of the way that they've been playing and the way that they went into the Bronx and ripped out the hearts of the New York Yankees, and obviously Vladdy, he was the king of New York. Yankee lose. I mean, right? It's hard to pick against that team, but look at the pitching Seattle's got, and now they are not facing a team with Derek Skubal. You're not facing a team that, honestly, I don't believe has elite pitching. It should make for a very fun series, and I'm excited to talk about that one starting tomorrow. But for now, again, we are taking the Milwaukee Brewers to win game number 5 of the National League Divisional Series against the Chicago Cubs. It can be minus 140 for the Brew Crew at home. Bring on the Dodgers up next. Again, the World Series still goes through Milwaukee. I believe the Brewers get it done here in a win-or-go-home game number 5. Folks, thank y'all for watching our MLB Best Bets here for October 11th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.